Afternoon to you. It is Tuesday, the 23rd day in the month of July 2023, and we are counting down to the end of the month. And you know what usually happens at the end of the month? Yeah. That thing, that alert, that's banang, is gonna happen soon and very soon. We are going to get a lot. So yesterday someone says, bring back our yo. And that is what we're going to do today. Yo, what's up? How's your mind? How's your body? And how is your soul? What's popping? What's happening around you? How's life? How's business? How's work? How's family? How is your lover? Your significant other? Now, if I try to escape my eyes today, he come and play something from Angelina Kojo. I don't even know what the song means. Maybe it's because I don't know the meaning. That's why I can't say anything about it. It could be, just one of those things he's fond of doing. But then again, let's just pretend like we didn't see or hear anything and move straight to our conversation for today. Inclusion of domestic staff in the new minimum wage. A vast majority of domestic staff members, from cleaners to gardeners to cooks to nannies, are not tertiary institution graduates. Some of them can only boast of a first school leaving certificate at most, or a secondary school leaving certificate. Hence, the reason why their wage range from 10,000 naira to maybe 40,000 naira at most, depending on how financially buoyant and liberal their employers are. But then, minimum wage says 70k, and some are expected to be included in this new scheme of things. Ladies and gentlemen, I have had domestic helps, and I try. I say I try because in my area as a whole, I pay the highest. So when I'm having a conversation with someone and this domestic help matter comes up, and I say this is how much I pay my domestic help, and I shelter them, and I feed them, and I still provide basic things, toiletries and all of that for them. I even take them to the salon where I make my hair to have their hair done. They're like, that's too much. But I'm not paying them 70k. No. It's not up to 70k. It's not even up to half of 70k if I'm being honest. Alright? But I just feel like this should suffice. And this is because I'm also comparing my earnings as well. How much am I earning to be able to path with this amount for a domestic help? So I'm being as realistic as possible with this particular conversation. The Senate and the National Council for Women's Society have sought to include domestic servants in the proposed 70,000 naira national minimum wage scheme. I'm sure if they are listening, they will say, whoa, my madam go increase my salary, oh, my oka. I go begin the correct 70,000. The call for the inclusion of domestic servants in the national minimum wage came from both institutions at the National Assembly in Abuja during a public hearing on the bill seeking an act to provide for domestication and registration of domestic workers and employers in Nigeria. The public hearing on the bill, sponsored by Senator Babangida Hassani, APC Jigawa Northwest, was organized by the Senate Committee on Employment, Labor and Productivity, chaired by Senator Dicket Plank, APC Plateau Central. The call for the inclusion of domestic servants in the national minimum wage scheme was spearheaded by Senator Osita Izunaso, APC Imo West, during his remarks at the public hearing. He said, as a member of this committee, I feel strongly that part of the provisions to be included in this bill is to include the domestic workers, be it housemaid or servant, in the proposed 70,000 naira national minimum wage law. At 70,000 naira is planned to be the lowest wage for the lowest public workers, so should be the case for the least domestic workers. We will put it in the bill for implementation by all employers. In a similar call, the acting national president of NTWS, Mrs. Geraldine Etuk, argued for the inclusion of domestic servants in the proposed national minimum wage law. However, during an interview with journalists, the sponsor of the bill said that although he was elated by the general support the bill got from the various stakeholders, I want you to listen to this part, from the Minister of Labour to other relevant stakeholders, practical implementation of the additional scope of inclusion of domestic workers in the national minimum wage is what is somewhat doubtful. He said, there's no point making a law that cannot be implemented, but I'm happy that the generality of stakeholders at the public hearing supported the bill and by extension, the proposed law. Earlier in his remarks during the session, the chairman of the committee, Senator Dickett Lang, said an agency will surely be set up for the implementation of the proposed law, but the Ministry of Labour and Productivity will drive the operation from the onset. I had to read it in details. Not my words. These stakeholders, they have come together and they are saying, you see, domestic helps should be included. But you see, it's not the first time we're going to be having a problem with implementation. Let's look at the 30,000 naira minimum wage. We still had some states struggling to pay that amount. How much more now that it has been increased to 70,000 naira? This is not to say that no one is looking out for the welfare of domestic helps. No. This is not to say that every boss is wicked and would not like to pay their domestic help something more than they already pay them. But how feasible is the inclusion and implementation of a 70,000 naira minimum wage for domestic members? Not almost every home. Some homes have domestic helps, and it doesn't mean they are doing so well. I have seen people who live in a one-bedroom flat apartment. A one-bedroom flat apartment has a living room, sometimes a dining area, the bedroom, the toilet, the kitchen. They may have a visitor's toilet. They may not have a visitor's toilet. But you see, there is husband, wife, children, and a domestic help living in that same house. If all was well with them, wouldn't they have moved to a 2-bedroom flat apartment or a 3-bedroom flat apartment for more privacy? And would you say that only domestic staff, or should domestic staff only be used by those who can clearly afford the 70,000 minimum wage? So I need help, and I can afford to pay a domestic help 20k. But you say, minimum wage is 70,000 naira, madam. So 70,000 naira or nothing. And I said, I'm sorry. It's not feasible. I can't pay you 70,000 naira. How much is my salary? What if that 70,000 naira is my entire salary? You know, sometime at the beginning of the year, I needed help. And I reached out to somebody who someone connected me to. And she said she was coming from the north. The way she was speaking the English, I said, okay, so how much are we looking at? And she told me that I would have to pay her 50,000 naira. I simply told her I don't think even my state governor pays some of his domestic helps 50,000 naira. I cannot start what I cannot finish. She said, okay, so how much are you going to pay me? I said, see, for the fact that you have started asking for 50,000 naira, it means anything else I propose to you will seem like an insult. So let's not prolong this discussion. You are definitely not the domestic help for me. Maybe, just maybe, if you were going to be the domestic help for a senator, for a very rich man, then that would be possible. So let's just end this discussion here. And she said, okay, no problem. 0817 923 0002 and 0817 923 0003. How feasible is the inclusion and implementation of a 70,000 naira minimum wage for domestic staff members? Should domestic staff only be used by those who can clearly afford to pay the 70,000 naira minimum wage? WhatsApp and Telegram number is 0809 030 6416 0809 030 6416. On X, we're at Nigeria Info page. Go there, watch live. YouTube, Nigeria Info Port Harcourt. Facebook page, Nigeria Info 92.3 PH. Drop your comments in the comment section and I'll gladly read. If Ejo is allowed to escape or you have dealt with him, the fear of Denise is the beginning of Ife Chukwu's wisdom. Right now from Wojin. All right. Greetings. Yo, I'm doing great. I know you are as well. Let's get it rolling and listening. All right. Thank you so much. Annie4N says domestic staff cannot be in line of the minimum wage. Some families are nice feeding them, clothing them, giving transport, other goodwills, and they may not house them. Pay 30K. Put everything together is more than 70K. There's a level that states staff numbers you have and your inflow to be in the minimum wage law baggage. All right, Muriel from Okrika. Hi, Muriel. Welcome to the sunny side. Zion and Henry, please, you will have to be patient. Muriel, go ahead very quickly. We have 2 callers waiting.
Hi, Denise. Good afternoon.
Hi, Muriel. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm fine. I'll be very fast. But I just want to say, Denise, leave this people alone. I don't know. This person is learning. We have Calabar is. Listen to Calabar song, you know, say, I used to be chief of song. And when we look at the topic, Denise, I don't know. I'm beginning to see that there come a time when those domestic staff will rise up, beg those lawmakers that please, we don't need that. Because trust me, if they insist on this amount, so many persons will decide, okay, in fact, thank God, let our children work. Let our children do the work themselves. And if I think my baby is too small, I will put in the crèche first. You know, there are always alternatives. 70,000 for a domestic staff. Look, Denise, there are some big shops, some big guys that pay up to 100,000. Yeah, I know of one that pays up to 100,000 to their domestic staff, more than that. So, because they have the cash. But we, especially we that are civil servants that need help, you say, you're not there. These people, they should think, because domestic staff will rise up and say, please, because of that one, I propose that we need to get jobs again. People will drop their domestic staff and their children will begin to do the work. Trust me. Thank you, Jimmy.
Thank you. Zion from Jaria. Welcome, Zion. Talk to me.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Zion.
In as much that they say they want to formulate a bill to protect their rights, but they should also know this clearly, that those who patronize these domestic staff are not even the big people up there. Are the middle class and the civil servants. See those big shops there. What they have is not domestic staff now. Some of them are people working under them as staff of that organization. Whose duty is to take care of this, take care of that. You cannot put them on that category as a domestic staff, irrespective that in the house or in that domain doing that job. So look at this for that class. Most of them, they squeeze their salary to go and get domestic help because of the responsibilities at home. Beautiful workers like you. Just imagine, if you want to be paying 70,000, which means your office will also increase your salary.
They have to. I need to start earning like 1 million. So that when I'm paying the person 70,000, I'm not thinking about it.
You are not thinking of anything. And this is the minimum wage they talk about. It's not everybody. It's not everybody. Minimum wage is just maybe grade level 3 or grade level 4. The rest is the same thing they pay. You can call the senior civil servant, let him come and explain this thing to you. So when you hear minimum wage, not be for everybody, which means servants, civil service scheme, we are going to pay them 70,000. The rest percentage that will just increase, maybe like 20%, some 10%, and the rest of it. So I want to beg them, make them not carry this minimum wage thing put people for problem.
All right. Henry from Rumokuta, Davidson from Eliozu. Okay, I think you would have to call back. Nigerian folk, good afternoon to you and welcome. Go ahead.
Hello, my beautiful sister. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you.
Chelsea Foster Modico calling from Port.
You're welcome.
I love Mr. Zion's analysis. I love him so much. Whenever I hear from him, I hear his voice. I always put my ear to the ground. Now, talking about this minimum wage. You remember some time ago when Labour started their fight? They still make one of them there said he has 3 drivers. He cannot pay 100,000 to his 3 drivers. One of the lawmakers said so. He cannot pay 100,000 to his 3 drivers. Now they want to increase. He earns about 20 million in a month. Now we are talking about increasing this minimum wage of domestic workers. How much will the madam? How much is the madam earning? Do they see? They just said, okay, we want to give pay workers 70,000. Also, for domestic workers, I wonder how our lawmakers have the reason their things. Thank you, my sister.
All right, thank you too. Victor from 3. Hi, Victor. Welcome to the sunny side.
We live in a country where a group of people who are being overfed by our Commonwealth make policies without thinking the reality on ground. They are aware that when you make such policies and there is nothing on ground to even monitor if these policies are being enforced, it's actually a waste of time and effort. Even those that they can even monitor, like the government of Southern, the states that they themselves know, have they been able to enforce it? Or are they just trying to sound politically correct so that people will be thinking they are doing something reasonable? Or they just want to have it on paper, like our barrister Leonard colleagues who say that something is for academic people. Is that what they want to just do? It is not feasible. We have people today that are earning less than 15K as save boys and girls. Are they not supposed to be captured in the labor force? Have they been able to even enforce those ones? Before they now trickle it down to somebody they call house help, whereby some of the contracts of those house help is that you send me to school, which means the extra income that I'm supposed to pay myself, I'm expected to divide from and send that particular person to school. So they've not even considered all of those discrepancies, and they just want to sound politically correct. I don't agree with that.
Sounding politically correct. Here's his opinion. But what if it's a mindset thing, like someone just hinted? What if it is our mindset that no domestic worker deserves a good wage? I'm being honest with you. This is my area where I live. I had to ask questions moving there at the point I needed domestic help. I'm not telling you someone's story. I'm telling you my story. And I told them how much I was paying mine for coming to work just once in a week to clean. And even the cleaning, she was restricted. She doesn't do my laundry. No, she doesn't. I do my laundry myself. She doesn't do the laundry of my oga. I do that myself. The only laundry she was permitted to do at the time was small madam's laundry. I don't know if you get. So it was more like she was chilling. And my house is not a mansion that. And when I said, oh, Spain, I said, it's too much now for somebody that just comes to work once in a week. That is how much I pay my domestic help that comes to work every single day. And I'm like, okay. And then I had a conversation with another person. And it was like, I was overpaying. And then I had one who had to show up every day, Mondays to Fridays. The agreement was that she didn't want to move in with me because, according to her, she already had a place she rented, and she came to Port Harcourt with her younger sister, so she wouldn't want to leave the younger sister alone in that apartment. And then we started discussing rent of the apartment and all of that. And she said she pays, is it 2,000 naira per month for the bathroom and all? And I said, okay. So in my head, I'm like, if I'm supposed to help this person, I should pay her something reasonable. From where she lives to my place, sometimes she likes to trek. If you give her transport money, she will choose to trek, ganga. But then she was having breakfast, lunch, and dinner at my house. If she gets sick, I take her to my hospital to get treatment. Something goes bad, I fix it. I change her wardrobe, because I want her to look a certain way. And I still paid her something far more than what she said she was earning as a minder in a private school. Because it was fair. But then again, people still told me what I was giving her was too much. That is domestic help. They don't need all this care and whatever. You are giving her clothes you wear. You are doing... No. That if you treat them like that, they don't come back. That is the ones that you are showing fire for fire. Those are the ones that we come back. Because they know their madam is a no-nonsense person. What if they were right? She left in December, promised me she was going to come back, and she didn't come back. Then I went through the roller coaster of looking for another one after several months. And I thought this one had come to stay. This was a live-in. She lived in my house. Toiletries, everything I will provide. And I still paid her something far more than what people around my area paid. And then at some point I asked myself, maybe I should cut down on this amount being paid. Maybe it's the amount being paid that is making them feel like they have arrived and then they start misbehaving. Some of them have the dream of going to school eventually. So they are doing this job to gather funds to be able to see themselves through school, at least the first year. Some of them, no vision of going through school. They'll tell you, pay their salary to their mother's account because the mother will use the money to take care of their younger ones. So a lot of them have reasons why they choose to be domestic help, be it male or female. But when as ogas and madams, we have already benched them at, past 20K. Yeah, no. You cannot pay them more than 10K. Waiting and they walk. How is it then possible to pay them 70K? I don't know, Bionye Kachi says 70,000 naira minimum wage for domestic help. I love Nigeria, beautiful countries, beautiful laws with 2% implementation. The homes of over 50% of those that domestic help earn less than 200K per month. Denise, what is the possibility of their homes paying their domestic staff 70K? We must stop making laws for making laws purposes and start looking at realities on ground. Finally, how can a country that doesn't know the population of her citizens enumerate the number of domestic staff in the country? Right? Because 1 minute you're there, you didn't plan to be a domestic staff. The next minute, life happens to you. A graduate had reached out to me that she wanted to be my domestic help. A graduate of French. That she wanted to be my domestic. I said, no, I can't pay you. Yeah, I got it. She said, no, ma, I will do the work. I said, no, let's not even go back and forth on this matter. I can't pay you. What did she experience to make her settle for the position of being a domestic help? People are suffering, no. Stephen says, very good news. James says, I make 60K a week, 230 to 240 a month. Nigerian government workers make 70K a month. What a pity. John says, Ganga, I love this discussion. Adi Oji Okesi says, this is a wonderful welcome development. Wow, it is well. DDM Dumale Modi send that in. Okay. So a lot of people just have the conversation. Now, this one says, it's not feasible. The so-called lawmakers should focus on what they can actually implement and check up on, not writing or sponsoring bills with plenty grammar to make it look as if they are working. I live in Abuja. How many of the so-called lawmakers actually pay their own workers even up to 50K a month? I know of the wife of one who wanted to pay 15K to a help from an agency, and they live in Asokoro. Didi, please make I no talk because I'm already upset. Instead of them to figure out how to deal with real issues like banditry, kidnapping, high cost of living, reviving the health sector, or the fact that a telecommunications provider is moving mad again, they're trying to pretend they care about domestic workers. Anonymous, send that in. And as from what he says, you are expecting a Nigerian to pay his gatesman 70K low, or his nanny 70K low, when most Nigerians don't see their domestic staff as workers, rather they see them as slave and helping them. They see them as slave and they are helping them. You're working for me now. Take this 10,000 naira, John. But you didn't work. You don't have a degree. You didn't even go to school. Your English is not even proper. Please. If somebody is asking for 70K, you are also asking for 70K. After the break, we continue.
Stay with us.
Nigeria Info.
We'll be back.